Today on the show, I'm joined with Brandin Wilkinson, the Director of Leadership of the Bannister Automotive Group in Western Canada. This episode is a very special one. Brandin and his team has actually built and leads a powerful leadership development program that's changing the game across their entire group. From hands-on coaching with the Bannister staff to providing valuable resources and inspiring future leaders to grow into bigger roles, Brandin and his team are doing something truly incredible. I love this conversation and I'm confident you will too. Brandin Wilkinson, thank you for jumping on the episode or that podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, you, I know we were just talking before we hit record, but you really stood out to me as somebody that's different in the automotive space. And you and Bannister Group are really doing something special that I think should be the standard, not just across automotive, but every industry and business. So maybe just give the listeners a little intro on who you are, and then we'll dive into what you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for having me, buddy. So Brandin Wilkinson, been in the industry since 2007. I'm a welder by trade, not a car guy. So kind of just stumbled into the industry, saw an empty office and don't know where it came from, but I told the salesperson, hey, if you need somebody, I could sell cars. I had no idea. I didn't know the difference between a half ton and a 3/4 ton. And so anyways, they hired me. They were desperate, obviously. That kickstarted my career, fell in love with it, did really well, was very blessed to be around great people, obviously, a massive support system at home that helped elevate the career and create some opportunities. And so owned a Chrysler store, partnered into that when I was 28, so pretty young to go through that experience, sold it February of 2020, so just before COVID, and then still wanted to stay connected to the industry and do my thing. And so was fortunate enough to get back into a general manager role. And then actually when COVID hit, we were living in Kelowna at the time, but we're from Manitoba. So COVID hit, we probably panicked a little bit. We did panic a little bit, moved closer to our family, our home base. And so was fortunate to land a job at Acura in Saskatoon as a general manager, did that for about a year. And then we realized that even though home for my wife and I was Manitoba, home for our kids was Kelowna. And so we transitioned back to Kelowna, was super blessed to be able to meet a really great guy in Tanner Cowett. And then he helped, and the Wyant Automotive Group helped me get a job at the Land Rover store in Kelowna. So I was a sales manager there for a little less than a year. And then I saw an ad come up for Director of Operations for the Bannister Automotive Group. Heard great things about Bannisters, had never met Mark or the family or Chad or MJ, but kind of just took a chance and put my name in the hat, not thinking at all that I had the goods to get it. And thankfully, they saw something in me that was aligned with their beliefs and overlooked maybe the qualifications or the skill that they were kind of honing in on to begin with. And credit to Mark Bannister, credit to Steve Stone, our Chief Operating Officer. He was a massive part of that journey for me. And so they really believed in me, and I got to meet the whole team, the whole dealer support team. We don't call it, head office or corporate. It's dealer support team. So I was able to meet all of them in the interview process, and then landed the role as Director of Operations. That would have been in the spring, almost 3 years ago now, so spring of 2022. And then about a year into it, and this gets into what your initial question was going to be about the leadership program. So I didn't know this at the time, but Lori Bannister, who is Mark Bannister's wife, she went through the whole ICF accredited coaching program, and she had already been doing some internal coaching already, unbeknownst to me. And that was a massive passion of mine. And so I started using Lori as my coach. We started connecting, and then we came up with the idea of hey, let's test pilot a program where we put 12 dealers together, or 12 coaches together rather, through a leadership development program. So her and I worked on that together. We ran the test pilot in early 2023, and that was a success. It exceeded any expectations that we had. And the big one for us is during that process, this was a really big thing, was the amount of support that we received about the test pilot from internally, from the dealer support team, but also from the dealers, and everybody was incredible. It's one of those things that you don't know you don't know how much people are looking for something like this until you create it, and then the demand follows it. It was awesome. So the big thing was we had Brian Westwell go through that program, and he, I think he'll be okay with me sharing his name. He's a partner of ours in Chilliwack, so he owns 4 of our stores down there and runs them. So amazing human. Him and I have really bonded and built a really great friendship, and a really strong operator. And he has extremely high standards for himself, for the team, for performance, for all of it. And we knew that by him going through the program, if he was like thumbs up, that we have something. And so I was nervous because I was the one that got, I worked with Brian, and he would never be intentional about being intimidating, but he's successful and like all the things. So I was intimidated a bit. He put me at ease really quick. We had a great experience together. And at the end of the program, we were sitting in the room doing a workshop with everyone that was involved. And Brian told in front of the room, in front of everybody, he's like, "Hey, look, this is something that not only like our management and leaders need to go through, but every single person in the organization needs to go through." And that was the moment for us where it's like, okay, we really have something here. And fast forward to September of 2023, and that's when this became a full-time thing, where it became director of leadership, I guess is kind of the official title, but just leadership coach, and start supporting the team on a higher level. And that's where we're at now.
So cool, man. There's so much I want to ask you about that whole like introduction.
Sure. Yeah.
But let's continue. We'll go back to your 28 years old part there. But as far as the leadership goes, what is all entailed, and what was the program like when you started, and what is it now? Because I imagine there's been a huge shift in terms of what you're adding to it.
Yeah, so we started with 12, as I said, like with the test pilot program, and last phase. So we've ran 5 phases of this now. So they run for about 4 months. We revamped the program for this year, so now it's down to 3 months, just so that we can. The demand's been really high, so we tried to revamp it so that we could get more people through and reach more team members, because we have 1,100 people inside the organization. You're not going to be able to reach them all just through the program itself. But how can we just reach more in a quicker period of time? So we took it from 4 months down to 3 months, did that. But in our last phase, we had 36 people go through it. And I feel like that's where we're going to have to kind of cap it. We don't have the capacity to be able to take on more between Lori and myself. And we have Pam Lowe, who also supports us in coaching. And so, the way it's evolved really is just primarily through the content itself. So when we started, we just had a generic leadership development program, and it didn't matter what your title was or status or how long you've been in the industry. Like, none of that mattered. You just got put into this very, like generic program. The content was great. There was no issue there at all. But what we discovered is what we wanted to experiment with is like, hey, what if we create a more specific and tailored content to somebody that's like an up and comer, somebody that's in a sales role or an advisor role or parts role, whatever that is, that has ambitions and has a career path for themselves. Like, let's maybe tailor content more towards that person. So we created a program just tailored around like that avatar. So we did that. So that's our first tier. And then our second tier is designed for, more experienced managers. And experience is very subjective. So it could be somebody that has 2 years, 20 years, 30, whatever it is. But somebody that's been in the role for a reasonable amount of time. So they would go through that. So that would be like sales managers, service managers, parts managers, like that type of thing. And even some of our GSMs have been through that program. And then the third tier is for our dealers and general managers. And so that's going to be a completely different set of content than what's included in that first tier. And so we were very intentional about the content that we created for those 3. So that's where we're at now. We had 10 of our dealers, GMs, go through the program from January. We just wrapped up actually in March, so that's done now. And then we had our team members in the enhanced, which is the second tier, and then our baseline, which is the first tier. And so that's where we're at now. That's just on the coaching side. Then we have the Bannister team site, which is, I think we have 40 blogs and articles in there just for anything holistically, anything that would help you discover more about your capabilities and potential is included in those 40 blogs. So that's in there. And then we created 10 webinars. We have Mark Bannister did a speech for us. We recorded that and put it on there. Mike Lowe, who runs one of the largest General Motors dealerships, not only in Western Canada, but in Canada, he did a speech for us, and we uploaded that onto there. So we have that content available for all of our team members. We have monthly resource kits. So every month we created like a monthly resource kit. January, for example, is all about goal setting. So we have a whole bunch of different goal setting options and resources for the team to be able to access and create their own goals and use as frameworks. And then we have, so what else do we have? We have, and then most recently we just created an internal ebook. And so the ebook is based around these 8 categories of life. So like relationships, finances, mental health, emotional health, physical health, whatever it is, these 8 categories. And the idea behind it is we use the wheel of life, which is really common in the coaching world, where essentially you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on each of the categories. Where do you feel like you're falling short on a little bit? Use that as your focus point. So we really point the team in 2 different directions with it. One is, hey, like read this as if it's a normal book for you. That's great. That's one way to utilize it. The second way is to hone in on the one category that you feel like you're maybe falling a little bit short on. It gives them some direction. It gives them clarity on, and maybe even an added degree of purpose in their day, because they have something that they're progressing towards, and they know what that looks like. And so it's a very holistic approach to what we're doing with the leadership program. Absolutely.
I hope that becomes a standard. My business partner and I were just talking about this with our team of the pillars of life, and we have our own. Like every week I go through my pillars and I rate myself and I give myself tasks to do that week. But we were saying like that needs to be the standard inside of our business, but others. So I'm so excited that you guys are implementing that. It's just, it keeps people engaged, right? Like employees want to feel valued. So,
well, I think it's a credit to, I agree. And I think it's something that, when I was 22 going on the sales floor for the first time, and then 24 becoming a manager, and then 26 a general manager, and you have 55 people that you're, inside your organization, and there was no leadership stuff. Like it was like you just got to figure it out, right? And then the demand for performance on top of it, like it's there's a lot there. It doesn't matter about title or whatever. It doesn't matter what area of the dealership you're in. Like there's stresses that come with it, and so it's like just to have some degree of support in that way is essential. And you're right. I think it should be the standard, and we're so fortunate that we have the Bannister family backing this and are our biggest advocates, and the dealers and the GMs. Like, man, the feedback that we get, dude, is like, gives you chills, man. Like it's like life-changing for people. And we have the privilege to be able to get to do that every single freaking day. Like amazing. Yeah.
When you talk about like the wheel of life and these pillars and holistic approach, are you guys coaching them on like nutrition and fitness as well? Do you bring people in, or is that just a, hey, bring this to your attention type of thing?
Oh, it's a great question. So this highlights something really important with coaching. We're not the experts.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really important distinction, is like consultants are experts. It's like they come in and they tell you what to do and how to do it, systems, processes, all that stuff. That's not what we do. With the background that I have, and Lori has as well, and Pam, all three of us actually have a lot of experience in the automotive industry. There's certainly times a call for like, hey, like, have you tried this, or could you go and experience this or experiment with this, whatever it is. Like we can contribute in that way, but that's not the way we lead conversations. It's all through the frame of coaching, which is like, the distinction is that you're the expert. So for me, it's not about, for us, it's not about like telling you what you need to do or what you should be doing. It's helping you discover that for yourself. And then it's like, yeah, I realize that I have an opportunity with my physical health. Let's just say that's a thing. And it's like, great. How do you want to be held accountable to achieving that, whatever the objective is? How can I support you? Right. Like, and then and can we offer resources, and do we have some connections in Kelowna and other areas? For sure. But we're not here, making sure that you're lifting weights and eating certain foods and stuff like that. Like, that's not what it's for.
Sure. I think that's awesome. And thanks for clarifying that. You're changing the way people think about themselves and what's possible, and giving them new perspectives.
Exactly. It's interrupting patterns. Like, we're on a program all the time, man. Like, it's just patterns of behavior. So the great thing about a coaching conversation is that it gives the opportunity for us to interrupt that pattern and shift perspectives. And that's, once you start shifting perspectives, you start shifting the way you experience life. And if we can contribute to that and help you along that journey, then job's done. It's really interesting. Is it okay if I kind of walk you through sort of like how we get the results that we do in life?
Please.
And the cascade of creation? Yeah, okay, cool.
No, don't share that, Brandon.
No. So I just don't want to talk too much. So the cascade of creation, the way that we think about it, is like, in a performance-based industry where we hone in a lot on like behavior, actions, and results. Right? It's just like, go do this thing and get the results. And that is important, and that is effective. Bar none. Important. The difference that what we see is we actually hone in a little bit more on what precedes the behavior and actions, because the result is just an outcome. It's not a controllable. We just had, like, multiple stores have record months in March, but that wasn't a controllable. That was a byproduct of habits and all the things that preceded the actions. So the way the cascade of creation works is like, everything starts with a belief. So if you have a belief of limitation in some way, so a limited belief being like, I'm not enough somehow, I'm not good enough, I don't have the ability, whatever it is, something limited in language, that's ultimately going to create a limited result. And that limited result is going to be evidence to reinforce the belief that started the whole thing to begin with. And this is where those patterns become very difficult to get out of if we don't have a coach, a friend that supports something to help pull us out of it. So the way the whole thing works is, a limited belief creates limited language, thoughts, stories, narratives. That then triggers a certain set of emotions. So emotion is just energy in motion, the way that I understand it. Meaning, like, it's physiological. It's your sweaty palms. It's your turning stomach, like I was telling you before this call about the nerves, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all of that. And then that's your physiology. That's your emotion. And then the feeling, so that's internal. And then the feeling is what you label that as. So I could have the same physiological experience with an emotion, and it could be nervousness or it could be excitement. It's whatever I want to label it as. So that's the feeling. So that's mental. So that's, and then the feeling then dictates the behavior, which then creates the actions, which then dictate the results. So it's the belief, the thought, the emotion, the feeling, the behavior, the action, and then the result. So while a lot of the times we get so fixated on what we can see and the tangible and the actions and the behaviors, we think that that's the only thing creating the result, but it's not. It all starts with a belief. So if we can start to shift beliefs in people and create more empowering ones, we're going to ultimately create more empowering results. It's just physics. It's just the way the frickin' thing works. So we spend a lot of our time on the beliefs, the thoughts, the emotions, and the feelings. That's where we spend more of our time. Can we help generate actions and influence behavior? For sure. It's effective and it's useful. But it's like, what is the underlying energy behind it? Like, let's focus in on that. So that's what we do.
I think you hit a really important piece that a lot of people aren't aware of, is the words and language that they use. It's like, oh, I can't do that pull-up, or I can't do that sales, whatever it is.
Right. Right.
And I caught myself yesterday, actually. My girlfriend was like, are we jumping in the lake tomorrow morning? And I said, yeah, we'll try. And then before I sent it, I'm like, no, that's not the words that I should be using.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
That's
yes, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
little
that's
things
right.
like that. It sounds woo woo, but it's so important to overall belief. And yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's less woo woo and more science and physics than anything. And that once we can get to that understanding and remove what our perception of something is, our belief about something is, then we become more open and receptive. Just go experiment with the idea of it at the very least. Like you're not going to lose anything by having the thought of like, huh, I wonder if I just take this approach. I wonder if I shift my belief system in myself and my team, what would happen to the results without doing anything else, without changing any actions. Just shift the belief and then just watch what happens. Just go play with it and try it out.
I love this. So going to like more operational, I can only imagine that you guys really believe hiring or promoting within. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. That's the first place we look, buddy. Like and I was speaking to Brian Westall before, and we have other dealers that are like this as well, where like they bring people up from inside the organization to the point where like with Brian, two of his previous team members have now gone off and are now running their own stores.
Incredible.
And so it's like that kind of stuff. Like he's growing them within as much, so they carry as much of that weight and load as or more than anyone. More than anyone. So yeah. As much as we can, we look within, and that's part of the responsibility that we have, especially with that up and comers portion of the leadership development program. It's like, how can we ensure, like you spoke to, you used the word engagement earlier, where when we talked about the program, it's like, you're right. It's like, if we can keep, our team engaged at that stage of their career and then bring them up through the program and continue to develop them, then all of a sudden we're all on the same page when we get to we're just all get on the same page. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're pulling people through the company. Actually, you're not pulling. You are pulling. You're not pushing. You're pulling people through the company and getting them to take more action and responsibility. What has your employee churn done over the time from implementing this?
It's a great question. I don't have the data, but it's what's really challenging with the leadership development program is like we're meeting with our team, like the coaches, say once every 2 weeks for an hour, and then we do that for 3 months, and then on the other side of that we have a really high like a lot of people stay with us after the program's done. So we'll have like 9 out of 10 people that have gone through the program. They'll want to continue on with coaching post program. So we have that as an offer as well. So like I'll be working with over 40 people at any given moment in terms of like one-on-one coaching. And once I get to probably 60, I'll have to cap it because like just day-to-day capacity just won't allow for any more. So that's been really effective. The challenge is that we're not, so here's where we meet them for 1 hour once a month after the program's done, but we're not in the stores. We're not the type of group that's going to be like, hey, this is exactly how you lead. Follow these steps. This is what you need to do because this is the Bannister way. That's not how it works. And if it was, then what we would do is we would be a lot more forceful and getting a lot more involved inside the dealership. But we don't want to do that. That's not our identity. That's not who we are. We want to be able to give the freedom and autonomy and flexibility to the dealers that have earned that position and the right to be able to run their show the way that they want to run it. All we're doing is facilitating a space for somebody to open up, to share what's going on in their world and whether it's personal or professional. And if that translates to lower turnover, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like it's not a focus objective of ours, interestingly, because what we're focused on in the leadership development program, we're doing one-on-one coaching primarily, is just supporting that individual. That's all we're thinking about. If the byproduct is lower turnover, wonderful. If it isn't, then it isn't. But it's not structured in a way to go and do that. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, but I can only imagine the byproduct is more engaged people that stick around longer. Like
engaged productivity. Yeah, like we just did a group wide employee net promoter score, like a survey, and the feedback was like incredible in that regard. I think like on those ones, if the score of 50 is supposed to be considered like a baseline or good, and we didn't have any department or anything even remotely close to that. I think the leadership program was like 89 or something, so considered to be like really good. Yeah. So
Incredible. Is there any
yeah.
like big transformations that stick out to you of like people breaking through? Obviously, you don't need to share names or anything, but is there something that like sticks out to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. How can I share without sharing too much? I think when I think about some of the testimonials that stand out to me, the one that really comes to mind is um, we had a single mom go through the program, and she has two kids at home, and this was a support that she wouldn't have been able to to afford outside of work or whatever. And the intention is never to go through like a therapy session or what have you, but sometimes that's just how it goes, and that's how it turns out. We're not therapists, we're not counselors, we're not any of that stuff, but it's amazing what can transpire when you just allow somebody to be seen and heard and held to a degree too, psychologically. Yeah, so it's amazing. Anyway, so she goes through the program, and she's been continuing on since, and the effect that it's had on her as a parent and how she's been able to relate to her children and the relationships to her two kids has been, for her, it's everything. It's everything. So if that's, to me, that's more important than turnover, right? It's like if you can go home and improve the relationship that you have with your children, and you're more connected to them and you're more present with them and you're more loving towards them, like that's it, dude. Like that's it. That's why we do what we do. And through that process, you're inevitably gonna bring a better energy with you to work, which is then of course can contribute to more engagement, productivity, and performance and the whole bit. So yeah, that's one that comes to mind. And like, man, we get feedback all the time that's like, I'm not super comfortable talking about it because I don't want to sound like we're bragging about it. It's just, but like life changing has occurred so much. Like I had a conversation with a GSM yesterday, a coaching call, and at the end of it, he's like, man, this is why I love doing it. This is so unreal. Like, this is what I got out of it. It's like, that happens like countless times. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's just a testament to like how safe people feel working with
Yeah.
you and the team, and I
Yeah.
think it's important to highlight that ripple effect that you just spoke
Yeah.
about with this mother and her kids. Her kids are going to respect her and love her more. They're going to have a better
Yeah.
relationship, and then when she
Yeah.
goes to a grocery store or whatnot, or
Yeah.
goes out and
Yeah.
about, they're treating people better, and your
Yeah.
customers are happier too.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like the way that we think about leadership, if, in a word, it's influence essentially. Like if you were to, through our lens, is like, I think all leadership is self-leadership, but it's the influence that gets generated through that. So the way that we think about it is, one person becomes a model for others, one department for other departments, one dealership for other dealerships, one dealer group for other dealer groups, and one industry for other industries. It's like that, what you're talking about, that whole ripple effect. It starts with one person and they can have an influence on an entire industry. And I truly, truly believe that. I've seen it. It's so powerful.
Let's go back. When you introduced yourself, you said you were a partner at a Chrysler store at 28 years old. Walk me
Yeah.
through that and where the heck your
Yeah.
head was at, because it's very
Yeah.
obvious you like risk. How did that play out?
Yeah. So I mentioned like I started in the industry at 22, and then so imagine being a 22-year-old kid, and then by 28 you're talking to bankers trying to figure out how to like partner into a store. It's like that happens so fast. And it had less to do with my ability to my skill and more to do with luck, right place, right time, the whole thing. And so was very blessed. My father-in-law, he'll talk to a statue. Like it doesn't matter. Like, so he's very conversive. And so like he was at a hockey game one night, got talking to this guy, Don Carter. Don was, 57 at the time. And he's like, hey, I'm actually looking for someone to, take over the store at some point here in the next few years. And my father-in-law was like, I've got a son-in-law that, lives close by and might be interested in that. And that was the starting point of having a conversation with Don. And so what was interesting in that timeline and I've got a story that I don't know if I feel comfortable sharing, but like, what I'll tell you is that I was at an inflection point. So I had two options. I had Woodworth Chrysler at 28 to be able to go and partner into that, or the Murray Automotive Group, who I think is very well respected. I know Doug Murray, and I think the world of him as well. And he called me and he says, Brandon, before you make a decision, like, come see me, or talk to me, let's converse before you pull the trigger on something. And so we got off the phone and I reflected on it. And the safer path, to your point about risk, the safer path would have been to go with Murray's. It's a big automotive group, not a small independent, right? They have all the systems and processes and people in place to get you to where you want to go. They'll let you partner into a store, like the whole thing. It was clear to me like that was a realistic opportunity, which was amazing. And then there's Woodworth, which is in a town of 180 people in the middle of nowhere in Manitoba. They didn't have air conditioning in the building. It was all fixed windows. We had no ventilation, like no cell phone service at all. But it's like, for whatever reason, I was just like, it doesn't feel risky when you have I struggle with confidence, but I have a tremendous amount of belief, if that makes sense. It's like, I'll figure it out. Anyway, so went there, chose Woodworth, and fortunately we had a really good run, man. Like, tripled our net profits in the first 3 years, which is amazing. I was very fortunate that like the people that have been buying vehicles from me from the other store that I was at was a General Motors product. They then went out of their way to come buy Chrysler products, which was awesome. So that really helped. We brought in an F&I manager, which really helped. Like, there was all these little, tweaks and modifications that we did that drove the business up. It got me recognized as top 40 under 40. So Automotive News does this thing, and it's like top 40 automotive professionals under the age of 40. Got recognized for that, and had a lot of really cool achievements. But the biggest thing was like just being a part of something that was bigger than you, like the growth of that, and to see everybody in the store, like their paychecks, like everything was just felt like just so much fun and elevated. It was a really cool experience. So yeah, we hit it out of the park and caught a really good run at the time in Manitoba. Oil was booming, things like the stars aligned. And so we were very blessed with that. So, but yeah, 28 years old, that was an interesting time for sure. Didn't know a thing. So had to do a lot of learning the hard way.
I mean, you threw yourself into the ring, and that's something that's very honorable. What was your personal growth experience like during that time? Because I imagine it's like a rocket ship.
Yeah, it's a great question. That was actually very interestingly in terms of timing. Like I was due for a personal transformation. Like my 20s I was not who you're speaking to today. Like there's a different version of me that still stays there, and that I don't have any interest in accessing anymore. And I went through a massive personal transformation. I was probably overconfident at 28, thinking like, hey, look at, like, this is easy. Like, how come nobody else at 28 owns a store, partners into a store, and all that kind of stuff? Like, and then I got humbled a few times personally and professionally, and it was really good for me. It's what I needed. And it was 2016. I went to a Tony Robbins event in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it was an immersive 5-day event, and it was just what I needed at the time. And it was the best thing that not only could have happened, for me, but for my family and for the team at work as well. That was really a huge catalyst to my personal journey, to leadership development, to the whole, like, all of it. That was a big one. And plus a couple other, personal choices that I made to just improve my own well-being, and through that process help show up differently at home and at work and everything. So yeah, it's been like, what is that, 9 years of just like going at it and learning more and more and more about myself. It's like, you know, there's a distinction that we use. We have, I'll share with you really quick. Like we have a vision, a mission, and guiding principles for the leadership program. So our vision is to inspire all Bannister team members, so all 1,100. Not sure how we're going to do this yet, but we're going to find a way. But to inspire all Bannister team members to experience unparalleled mental and emotional freedom. That's the vision that we have for the leadership development program.
I love that.
The mission that we're on is to provide a safe and supportive environment for Bannister team members to fully express themselves, explore new possibilities and perspectives, and be empowered to create their best life. That's the mission. And then the guiding principles are connection first, presence, unconditional love, meaning like no judgment. Like you will not feel an ounce of judgment or bias in our conversations. It just can't happen. And then it's empowerment and self-discovery and transformation and growth. And the transformation and growth is going to be a byproduct of the other four things. So if we hone in a little bit on the empowerment and self-discovery part, this is a massive distinction that I've had recently that has really helped my relationship with, if you want to call it personal growth, I guess, for lack of a better word. And it's in the realm of self-discovery and self-improvement. So I was always I always loved the language of self-improvement, like improve, 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 improve. And I think that bodes well for like the automotive industry where it's like performance based. So there's always more. It's never enough. Like we just had like a sharing like record months with multiple stores. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but they'll be the first ones to tell you, yeah, we left money on the table or there could have been more or whatever. It's just what it is. So self-improvement, the way that I see it is, it's very elusive. Like it always feels like it's out there. Like it's just out of reach. You can't quite reach it. And is very external. And if you actually think about it, self-improvement is actually a form of, it's like you're not fully loving yourself, because if you're saying you need to improve, you're saying you're not enough as you are. And that's a lie. So self-discovery on the other hand, and self-improvement would feel more like more exhausting, like a search, like you're searching for something. And that just feels very effortful. And so then reframing it to self-discovery would be more along the lines of like, I'm accessing what's already available to me. It's internal. It's already there, which makes it feel a lot easier to be able to grab onto and less elusive. And so it's like, I think about it this way. It's kind of like when Michelangelo did the statue of David. It's like, he was saying David was always in the marble. I just had to chip away and remove what was in the way of it. And it's like, when I think about that, I think about removing limiting beliefs for ourselves and then accessing what's already the masterpiece that's already within us. And so to me, that's more of an exploration. That's more fun and that's lighter. And it doesn't feel as like pressure to improve, to do, to like whatever. And so that's been a huge distinction. And we share that with our coaching clients, and they love it because it's like, man, that just feels like more fun. It doesn't feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I just get to go and play and explore what's in, and it's inspiring to be able to do that day in and day out.
It's a very interesting way of looking at it. I've never actually heard that before, so thank you for sharing that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's different for sure. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Well, dude, this conversation has been so good. I don't really want it to end. I know you've got kind of a stop here coming up. But what advice would you have for individuals that are young, maybe your 28-year-old self coming into the industry and want to make it? What advice do you have for them?
I think the first thing the word that jumped out to mind for me was mentor. Like find a mentor, find somebody to grab onto that you respect, that you see qualities in them that you're aligned with. Take them out for lunch. Like, I got to tell you, man, like, I'm sure you'd be the same or have been the same in your own experience, where it's like, if somebody comes up and they want to, leverage your life experience that you've had so far, it's like, you feel good, man. It's like you're giving back to something bigger than yourself. So don't be afraid to ask for it, because they're as willing as you are, maybe more so. And so I think I'd find a mentor. I'd seek it out, whether that's somebody in person or somebody online or somebody that you come across just in the industry in general, and latch onto that and just soak in as much as you possibly can through them. That would be my advice.
Amazing. Well, Brandon, thank you for your time. Appreciate it very much. And to the listeners out there, definitely follow Brandon on LinkedIn. He has some awesome content that he shares from the program and your own life experiences. And I encourage everybody to follow along.
Yeah, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much.